Good morning again. 6th of November, early in the morning Sunday. The church service, which I try to attend, didn't come through on the phone today. Couldn't connect with it. So I decided, well, it's my turn to deliver messages. And so what I want to focus on is further proof that America is Israel today. America was founded by Israelites. We've been watered down, literally adulterated. The Democrats have made sure of that. And they continue to adulterate the land here, the population. We're getting a lot of incompatible types. We're getting a lot of unsuitable types. We're getting a lot of criminals. We're getting a lot of sick people. We're getting a lot of pretty low IQ people coming up here. We're getting people whose cultures will clash with ours, and it'll make things worse, and we will have more sociopathy. We will have more crime. We will have less unity and less strength as a result. If you want to be strong, you have a homogeneous population. That way everybody gets along better. Everybody understands what's expected. But what has happened is the bankers who really rule this country, your president is not the guy you think. The guy who's running the country is chairman of the Federal Reserve. He's your president. Don't kid yourself. They tell these Congress people what to vote for, what to do, who the next war is going to be. To go into Haiti and exploit those people again so they can get the oil rights, the mineral rights to that island, and take them from those people and deprive them of their heritage, their ability to support themselves and keep them in poverty. It's horrible what we're doing to Haiti right now. Anyway, I'm going to give you proof that's in the Bible, and I hope this opens your eyes. Now, when I discovered this, I was using my original NIV study Bible from 1983 when I first went to Bible college. I didn't do very well there. I pretty much washed out and dropped out after the first semester. I'd had enough. I'd had enough. And I really appreciate one teacher in particular I remember, and I really was glad to attend his lectures. They did not understand the Bible all that well, though. Not as well as we do today. So things are changing, things are growing. I'm looking at Exodus right now, and I'm going to read through the Ten Commandments, Exodus 20, and I'm going to go through those and try not to interrupt it very much and just go with the flow. Now, in my Bible, you will see that they're numbered. Let me see if we got some numbers bleeding through there. And numbers at the bottom of the other page and highlights and all that. Okay, it goes on to 2 pages in this particular version of the Bible. All right, so I'm going to try to go through those. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be some meat and potatoes, some substance to this. Exodus 20, verse 1. And good morning, Israel. I'm Dr. John Taylor Kent. Thank you for joining me once again. Do like the video. Comments are always welcome. I don't always comment back, but I should be doing that. I'm not that well organized with this. It's not exactly, my circumstances are my circumstances. I don't have enough organization in my own life. I've been praying for that, though. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, your God, which has brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make to you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahweh your God in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your God. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, is, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh your God gives you. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, nor shall you covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Okay. The first 4 have to do with our relationship to Yahweh. Pretty clear on that. The following 6 are relationship to each other and how to conduct ourselves. And this is the 10 Commandments, but I also consider it natural law. I mean, this is the natural stuff. When you violate natural law, you pay the price. You suffer the consequences. This makes us civil. This gives us Western civilization. Without it, Western civilization would not be possible, would never have happened. This is very important. And there's a lot more that goes on in this chapter. I do want to point out one thing that's jumped out at me as I was reading it. Stop trying to make me pet you. Lay down. Lay down. Yes, you ate all the food. You were a good girl. Lay down. Down. Verse number 5. Last clause. Of them that hate me. You need to understand that principle. Yes, people hate Yahweh. You need to understand that principle because not all can be saved. And you run around there thinking you're going to save them all. I too thought that one time. I'm not going to convert many people. If you read the Bible carefully, it'll tell you it converts. It converts the soul. It changes the heart. It motivates the person to convert. I'm not going to do it. I know there's a lot of people running around there saying, I got them their salvation. There was even an identity pastor saying, I gave them their identity. Religiosity, my folks, it's man-made stuff. It's only a superstition, basically. So our grandmothers and grandfathers agreed to abide by the contract. This is what was required. There's a lot more. There's a lot more ordinances, rules, regulations. I mean, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into detail. However, you got to get the first 10 commandments going. Because if you don't, it gets pretty bad. Now, I'm going to move forward here. to the book of Leviticus and see if I can find this. There's a, oh, that's Exodus again. Okay. Leviticus and Deuteronomy are very important books. Most of the laws for our nation came from those two books. I think one in particular has been cited as being more dominant in it, probably Deuteronomy. But the passage I'm looking for is marked up in my NIV Bible because it's actually titled in that. They actually put a section saying the curses for disobedience and the blessings for obedience. You really need to read all of this stuff. And I'm about ready to go and give in. This should be marked. If I can't find it in Leviticus, I won't be able to find it. I'll give up. I'm not going to waste your time going to Deuteronomy on that. If it's not marked up in here enough, it should be dog-eared. Okay, not in here. Time to go back to the NIV Study Bible. Because you can't miss it in the NIV Study Bible. It has the additional comments and headings. Kennel. I thought she was over that, but she's not. Leviticus. That's Exodus. There's Leviticus. This Bible of mine is tabbed, as you can see. I put the tabs on it quite a while ago. The bindings still look good on this, and I'm glad for that. It is a helpful version of the Bible. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some screwed up things in it, that's for sure. Okay. Various laws. This is important stuff. Please bear with me on this. Okay. Reward for obedience. That's what it's called here. Punishment for disobedience. So we're in Leviticus chapter 26. And she's tearing up the towel I put in there to help keep her warm. Oh well. As I told you, this breed gets very destructive when not kept busy. I'm going to flash forward to Deuteronomy to find the passage in Deuteronomy because this is a double witness. We have Deuteronomy chapter 28, blessings for obedience, followed by the curses for disobedience. Let's read the reward for obedience first. This is really important stuff. You got to get this. Smaller print, sadly. Need stronger reading glasses. We'll start with verse 3, chapter 26 of Leviticus. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops, and the trees of the field their fruit. Your threshing will continue until grape harvest, and the grape harvest will continue until planting, and you will eat all the food you want and live in safety in your land. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. I will remove savage beasts from the land, and the sword will not pass through your country. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall by the sword before you. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000, and your enemies will fall by the sword before you. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. You will still be eating last year's harvest when you will have to move it out to make room for the new. I will put my dwelling place among you, and I will not abhor you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt so that you would no longer be slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with your heads held high. It's pretty short. This next section is not as short. Punishment for disobedience. But if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, and if you reject my decrees and abhor my laws and fail to carry out all my commands and so violate my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will bring upon you sudden terror, wasting diseases and fever, that will destroy your sight and drain away your life. You will plant seed in vain, because your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you so that you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee even when no one is pursuing you. If after all this you will not listen to me, I will punish you for your sins 7 times over. I will break down your stubborn pride and make the sky above you like iron and the ground beneath you like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain, because your soil will not yield its crops, nor will the trees of the land yield their fruit. If you remain hostile toward me and refuse to listen to me, I will multiply your afflictions 7 times over, as your sin deserves. I will send wild animals against you, and they will rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, and make you so few in number that your roads will be deserted. If in spite of these things you do not accept my correction, but continue to be hostile towards me, I myself will be hostile towards you, and will afflict you for your sins 7 times over, and I will bring the sword upon you to avenge the breaking of the covenant. When you will withdraw into your cities, I will send a plague among you, and you will be given into enemy hands. When I cut off your supply of bread, 10 women will be able to bake your bread in one oven, and you will dole out the bread by weight. You will eat, but you will not be satisfied. If in spite of this you still do not listen to me, but continue to be hostile towards me, then in my anger I will be hostile towards you, and I myself will punish you for your sins 7 times over. You will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and pile your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols. And I will abhor you, and I will turn your cities into ruins and lay waste your sanctuaries. And I will take no delight in the pleasing aroma of your offerings. I will lay waste to the land so that your enemies who live there will be appalled. I will scatter you among the nations, and will draw out my sword and pursue you. Your land will be laid waste, and your cities will lie in ruins. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbaths. Its Sabbath years, all the time it lies desolate. And you are in the country of your enemies. The land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths. All the time that it lies desolate, the land will have the rest it did not have during the Sabbath you lived in it. As for those of you who are left, I will make their hearts so fearful in the lands of their enemies that the sound of a wind-blown leaf will put them to flight. They will run as though fleeing from the sword, and they will fall even though no one is pursuing them. They will stumble over one another, as though fleeing from the sword, even though no one is pursuing them. So you will not be able to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations. The land of your enemies will devour you. Those of you who are left will waste away in the lands of their enemies because of their sins. Also because of their fathers' sins, they will waste away. But if you confess their sins and the sins of their fathers, their treachery against me and their hostility towards me, which made me hostile toward them so that I sent them into the land of their enemies, then when their uncircumcised hearts are humbled and they pay for their sin, I will remember my covenant with Jacob and my covenant with Isaac and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land, for the land will be deserted by them and will enjoy its Sabbaths while it lies desolate without them. They will pay for their sins because they rejected my laws and abhorred my decrees. Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them so as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. I am the Lord their God, but for their sake I will remember the covenant with their ancestors whom I brought out of Egypt in the sight of the nations to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the decrees, the laws, and the regulations that the Lord established on Mount Sinai between himself and the Israelites through Moses. A lot of you say Mount Sinai doesn't exist. Wow, we can't find Mount Sinai. Why isn't it on the map somewhere? I mean, after all, it's got to be in the Sinai Peninsula, right? No, it really exists. There was a couple from Mississippi that acted as missionaries for us in a very big way, and they went there twice, 10 years apart. They made the trek inside the Arabia and went to Mount Sinai. They discovered it all right. They even found the old stream in which the sacrifices were washed. They found Mount Sinai. They found the altar upon which they carved the gods and put the golden calves on. They found it. Now, the Saudis do not want us there. They don't want us to know it's there because they're members of the bad guys. And they don't want us to be riled up and realize how true the Bible is and how physical it is, how it really happened. Remember when he said, "Here are your gods" in the Bible, plural? Well, the calf was probably singular up on that pedestal, and they had the carved animals and symbols for their gods around that short, fat, squat pillar that they used for an altar. Okay. I wish I had some feedback right now because I know I called out which chapter it was in Deuteronomy. And I got this marked out, and I think I remember the titles for this much better because it's blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. For some reason, I remember that curses better. This is in 28 Deuteronomy. Again, double witness in the Bible, meaning Yahweh the Lord wants us to pay attention to this. Come on, learn this stuff. And we have got some things that are mentioned 5 times in the Bible. If you can know what those are, put them in the comments below. I know. You want to hear what I got to say. Blessings for obedience. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Oh my God, I really do want to go look up Barak for you in this. I got to cover that if we can get to that. 28 verse 1. If you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands, I give you today the Lord your God will set you high above all nations on earth. And these blessings will come upon you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed. Boy. And the crops of your land and the young of your livestock, the calves of your herds and the lambs of your flocks. Your basket and your kneading trough will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. That's to war, basically. The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. They will come at you from one direction but flee from you in 7. The Lord will send a blessing on your barns and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. The Lord will establish you as his holy people, as he promised you on oath, if you keep the commands of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. Then all the peoples on the earth will see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they will fear you. The Lord will grant you abundant prosperity in the fruit of your womb, the young of your livestock, and the crops of your ground, in the land he swore to your forefathers to give you. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God that I give you this day and carefully follow them, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom. Do not turn aside from any of the commandments I give you today, to the right or to the left, following other gods and serving them. However, if you do not obey the Lord your God and do not carefully follow all his commands and decrees I am giving you today, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. You will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Your basket and your kneading trough will be cursed. The fruit of your womb will be cursed, and the crops of your land, and the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. You will be cursed when you come in, and cursed when you go out. The Lord will send on you curses, confusion, and rebuke in everything you put your hand to, until you are destroyed and come to sudden ruin because of the evil you have done in forsaking him. The Lord will plague you with diseases until he has destroyed you from the land you are entering to possess. The Lord will strike you with wasting disease, with fever and inflammation, with scorching heat and drought, with blight and mildew, which will plague you until you perish. The sky over your head will be bronze, the ground beneath you iron. The Lord will turn the rain of your country into dust and powder. It will come down from the skies until you are destroyed. The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You will come at them from one direction. You will flee from them in 7. You will become a thing of horror to all the kingdoms on earth. Your carcasses will be food for all the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and there will be no one to frighten them away. The Lord will afflict you with the boils of Egypt and the tumors, festering sores, and itch from which you cannot be cured. The Lord will afflict you with madness, blindness, and confusion of mind. At midday you will grope about like a blind man in the dark. You will be unsuccessful in everything you do. Day after day you will be oppressed and robbed. No one will rescue you. You will be pledged to be married to a woman, but another will take her and relish her. Yeah, it's spelled kind of weird. Ravish her. Take her, ravish her. That's what it is, sorry. You will build a house, but you will not live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will not even begin to enjoy its fruit. Your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes, but you will eat none of it. Your donkey will be forcibly taken from you and will not be returned. Your sheep will be given to your enemies, and no one will rescue them. Your sons and daughters will be given to another nation, and you will wear out your eyes watching for them day after day, powerless to lift a hand. A people that you do not know will eat what your land and labor produce, and you will have nothing but cruel oppression all your days. The sights you see will drive you mad. The Lord will afflict your knees and legs with painful boils that cannot be cured, spreading from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. The Lord will drive you and the king you set over you to a nation unknown to you or your fathers. There you will worship other gods, gods of wood and stone. You will become a thing of horror and be an object of scorn and ridicule to all the nations where the Lord will drive you. You will sow much seed in the field, but you will harvest little, because locusts will devour it. You will plant vineyards and cultivate them, but you will not drink the wine or gather the grapes, because worms will eat them. You will have olive trees throughout your country, but you will not use the oil, because the olives will drop off. You will have sons and daughters, but you will not keep them, because they will go into captivity. Swarms of locusts will take over all your trees and the crops of your land. The alien who lives among you will rise above you higher and higher, but you will sink lower and lower. He will lend to you, but you will not lend to him. He will be the head, but you will be the tail. All these curses will come upon you. They will pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the Lord your God and observe the commands and decrees he gave you. They will be a sign and a wonder to you and your descendants forever, because they did not serve the Lord your God joyfully and gladly at the time of prosperity. Therefore, in hunger and thirst, in nakedness and dire poverty, you will serve the enemies the Lord sends against you. He will put an iron yoke on your neck until he has destroyed you. The Lord will bring a nation against you from far away, from the ends of the earth, like an eagle swooping down, a nation whose language you will not understand, a fierce-looking nation without respect for the old or pity for the young. They will devour the long of your livestock and the crops of your land until you are destroyed. They will leave you no grain, new wine or oil, nor any calves of your herds or lambs of your flocks until you are ruined. They will lay siege to all the cities throughout your land until the high fortified walls in which you trust fall down. They will besiege all the cities throughout the land, and the Lord your God is giving you. Because of the suffering that your enemies will inflict upon you during the siege, you will eat the fruit of the womb, the flesh of the sons and daughters the Lord your God has given you. Even the most gentle and sensitive man among you will have no compassion on his own brother or the wife he loves or his surviving children. And he will not give to one of them any of the flesh of his children that he is eating. It will be all he has left because of all the suffering your enemy will inflict upon you during the siege of your cities. The most gentle and sensitive woman among you, so sensitive and gentle that she would not venture to touch the ground with the sole of her foot, will begrudge the husband she loves and her own son or daughter, the afterbirth from her womb and the children she bears, for she intends to eat them secretly during the siege and in the distress that your enemy will inflict upon you in your cities. If you do not carefully follow all the words of this law which are written in this book, and do not revere this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, the Lord will send fearful plagues upon you and your descendants, harsh and prolonged disasters, and severe and lingering illnesses. He will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt that you dreaded, and they will cling to you. The Lord will also bring on you every kind of sickness and disaster not recorded in this book of the law until you are destroyed. You, who are as numerous as the stars in the sky, will be left but few in number, because you did not obey the Lord your God. Just as it pleased the Lord to make you prosper and increase in number, so it will please him to ruin and destroy you. You will be uprooted from the land you are entering to possess. Then the Lord will scatter you among all nations, from one end of the earth to the other. There you will worship other gods, gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your fathers have known. Among those nations you will find no repose, no resting place for the sole of your foot. There the Lord will give you an anxious mind, eyes weary with longing, and a despairing heart. You will live in constant suspense, filled with dread both day and night, never sure of your life. In the morning you will say, if only it were evening. And in the evening you will say, if only it were morning. Because of the terror that will fill your hearts and the sights that your eyes will see, the Lord will send you back in ships to Egypt on a journey I said you should never make again. There you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Renewal of the Covenant, chapter 29, NIV. These are the terms of the covenant the Lord commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab, in addition to the covenant he made with them at Horeb. Moses summoned all the Israelites and said to them, Your eyes have seen all that the Lord did in Egypt to Pharaoh, to all his officials, and to all his land. With your own eyes you saw those great trials, those miraculous signs and great wonders. But to this day the Lord has not given you a mind that understands, or eyes that see, or ears that hear. Anyway, as I read the curses for disobedience, I read my nation today, the United States of America, where the aborted fetuses are sold for large profits, and they are processed, and you put them on your bodies and in your bodies. They even inject them into you. You need to understand there's a lot more to this Bible. What I'm trying to tell you is that you're Israelites. You're suffering the curses that are written here. You had the blessings that were in here. But at this point, God's moving against you. That's all there is to it. So, how do you reconcile? Gives you tips. Admit your sins. Admit the sins of your fathers. Admit the sins of their fathers. Do all of that. Repent. Change your ways. Do what it says to do in this book. Do it and see if he doesn't return to you. Now, I can tell you that these curses were given way before Israel walked into the land, way before they divided it up among themselves, way before they lived there and built a temple, way before that. And as a result, they did leave the land. They were hauled out by the Assyrians and then the Babylonians. And then some of them actually, like it says in here, will return to Egypt in ships. They even hauled Jeremiah with the 2 crown princesses down to Egypt as he protested it, didn't want to go. And one of the captains down there finally got them to let them loose, and they went back up to the promised land, back up to Israel. They gathered things together there and boarded a ship and went to Spain. There, Princess Skoda, the younger princess, got off the ship and married an Israelite who was in dispersion in Spain at the time. You've got to remember, Israelites were dispersed beginning 722 BC. By 650 BC, they were pretty much out and about. And yet here we are later, and Jeremiah's hauling the crown princesses out because the princesses, yes. The crown princes had been destroyed in front of the king before they blinded him. But they made him go down to Egypt first. And he even warned them and protested, said, hey, you're all going to die down there. We're not supposed to go there. It was written back then, a long time earlier. They went anyway. Jeremiah got free, and they landed in Spain. And there they married, he married her into a prince, basically, if you will, from the northern tribes of Israel. And they had been previously in Greece. And then after they left Greece, went to Spain. After they left Spain, they went north and went to what became Scotland. Scotia. Scota. Scota was her name. And so they settled up there. Definitely the tribe of Judah. Not just any old Israelite, but of Judah. And then the great eagle, the prophet Jeremiah, took the crown princess, the oldest one, the inheritor of the throne, Tamar, through the Straits of Gibraltar, up to the northern coast of Ireland. There he married her off to the chieftain up there. And the chieftain up there was a descendant of Zerah. Remember the story of I think it was Tamar? It was Judah's stepdaughter, or daughter-in-law rather, who had given her 2 husbands that he had by a Canaanite woman, Er and Onan, and Yahweh put them to death. And then Judah wouldn't give her another son like he was required to do by Israelite law, tradition. Wait till the boy's old enough. He's not old enough. Never gave the boy, the son to him like he was supposed to. And as a result, she dressed up like a shrine prostitute, went to the intersection that she knew Judah was passing through on his travels doing business, and basically seduced him. Well, anyway, he asked her what she wanted in exchange for sex. Would a small goat do it? Baby goat? Oh yeah, sure. And she took 3 of his items in pledge. And later, when the people wanted to stone her because she was found with child and had played the prostitute, Judah sent his servant over there. He actually, his man, went over there and asked her, what's going on? Tamar, who's pregnant and isolating in the tent, handed the items and say, the man to whom this belongs is the father of the child. And Judah, when he saw them, said, she has been more noble, more honorable than I. And he ordered her be allowed to live. And she gave birth to the twins Pharez and Zerah. And in case you're wondering, it was the prophet Ezekiel who wrote about the exchange of the crown, whereby the low branch, which was Zerah, became high, and the high branch, which was Pharez, Yahshua's line, became low. That's the transition that occurred on the island of Ireland. Remember, Jeremiah chased the snakes out of Ireland? He did. He also left Ireland, by the way, and he went to the wilderness. He went to North America. Solomon had been mining gold over here, gold and copper, for quite a while. And those people, when things went haywire and the ships were destroyed, That's in the Bible. The Israelites were abandoned here in North America. And some of those married in with the inhabitants here. Okay. I think that's enough. I wanted to prove to you that this is America today. There is one more proof I would love to do if you will hold with me. I will do my best to find it. And I'm going to go to Leviticus. I'm going to take a guess that it's in Leviticus. How much do you want to bet me it's in Leviticus? It could be in Deuteronomy. I confuse the two books quite often. Okay. Restitution is in here. I'm just going to start sitting with these Bibles and reading through the passages and explaining the importance of them to you. Consider it a motivator. Don't take me at my word. Get into it. Go into whatever version of the Bible you want. What's the correct version of the Bible? I asked the publisher who had a particular Bible to sell. He listened intently. Oh, what's that? I said, it's the one you read. So that's the correct version of the Bible for you. I'm looking for Barak. And I guess we should just cut to the chase and get out another book, huh? Hold on. Rex got this for me a long time ago. I gave up a good version, smaller version of the concordance to a woman I was enamored with. Gave her a copy of the Bible as well. It's a shame that didn't work. It's been so long since I've used this. Let me see if I can look it up in the English. I'm looking up the name Barak because I want you to understand something. We're going to go to some big, heavy-duty topics. This came from my pastor a while back. He's not doing well. You may pray for Pastor Jerry Wiki. I haven't heard about him in a while. And I haven't seen him in a while, and I've done that on purpose because I want to remember him back when he was strong and healthy. One of my brothers saw him in a deteriorated state, and I talked with Chuck at length, and Chuck says he wished he hadn't seen him. Hadn't seen Pastor Wiki. It was so disturbing. And it was that in part. That was the major reason why I didn't want to see him. Also, his boys insisted that he get the vaccine. And I didn't want to interfere with that. They told me if I said anything about the vaccine, they were going to cut the visit off. And I got to thinking, he's not going to recognize me. From what others have told me, he's not recognizing anybody except his immediate family, maybe. And that was a couple years ago, by the way. Anyway, I decided I did not want to disturb his life. As much as I loved him, well, yeah. That was the best thing I could do. Barak. B-A-R-A-K. Have you ever heard Barack before? Barack Insane Obama? You need to understand something right now. And this comes from Jerry Wiki. This is not something I generated on my own. And I'm going to hold to this until somebody can prove otherwise. Basically, Satan, the devil, serves Yahweh, but he doesn't know it. And that's what Pastor Jerry Wiki, now the leader for our worship service at that time, kind of a weird guy. His idea was that it's a little bit of an extension on that. And he hung out with Pete Peterson, who I tried to visit, but he passed away before I could get there. Passed away in the months before I could get there. The year I was supposed to travel, I would have been able to meet him, but my car, the turbos weren't wired up right, and the Cayenne needed to go in the shop, and I couldn't travel that summer. And he died during that year from his cancer. But basically, the saying or adage or axiom, if you will, is that Satan and his minions, the devil and his children, were given license to sift us. In other words, to try us and to make sure we were true to Yahweh. However, this fellow continues on. He says, clearly they've exceeded their license because now they're killing us. So I'm going to tell you straight up, they killed 200 million of us in the last century. Just a general estimation. 100 million in Russia alone. 100 million in the rest of the world. And right now they've got their forces together. They're in positions of power. They're in the mountains. They're in governments everywhere. They own and run the banks. They've got everything corrupted to the point where they rule the roost right now, and they're killing us as fast as they can. They use poisons in the air, food, water, all kinds of slow ways to do it, including poor practices in healthcare. Barak, let's look it up and see. I can't believe it. It's mentioned that many times in the Bible. Mentioned in Judges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, several times. But it's not telling me what I want. Barak. It's in Leviticus or Deuteronomy. So, Barak is the proper name, mostly found in the book of Judges. And once in the book of Hebrews. And that was Barak, the general who worked under the prophetess Deborah. Remember, he wasn't going to go out to battle against Sisera, whatever his name was, the general. Wasn't going to go to battle unless Deborah accompanied him. And Deborah responded to him, well, very well. If that's the way you want it, then the Lord, you won't get the victory. Sisera is going to be delivered into the hands of a woman, not into your hands, so you won't get the glory. Okay, I'm going to look up sword and see if that might be what we need. But I think you're going to be finding this rather interesting. Sword. Anyway, I'm running out of steam here. Lightning. I hope you're at least listening to me and paying attention to these terms, because they all are referring, and we could enlarge this quite a bit more. Lightning. Luke 10:18. Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's rather important that you understand that. The original word, Hebrew word 798. It's worth it. It's worth it. Just hang on with me a little bit. To think that this guy Schofield and the other people did this without computers. Their minds were so brilliant. We couldn't do it today. No, I'm in the Greek. I'm not in the Hebrew. Got to go to the Hebrew. Word 798. Just to prove right now what's been going on. 798. I'm so glad I can remember 3 digits today. It wasn't like that in 2006 after my strokes. Of course, I got healed by reading up the Bible. Sitting on my butt and reading the NIV in particular. I got the wrong word, so I'm not doing very good in looking this up for you. Anyway, the name Barak is in the Bible, and the very first mention of Barak is either in Leviticus or Deuteronomy, something like 23, 34, or double digits is about all I can remember on that. And basically Yahweh is speaking and saying, I will use my sword of lightning, or my double-edged sword, my barak, against those who hate me. And some versions of the Bible will say against mine enemies who hate me. So this is an important thing. And Barak was not his given name. It was Beri Sotero. And he definitely is the tail. And he was placed in front of us to the head. And one of the laws of the Israelites was you are not allowed to have a non-brother as king. You could only have a person as king over you who was a brother. That was the Israelite tradition. However, the tradition of those at Mount Sinai was the opposite. And those people actually at Mount Seir appointed a stranger to be king over them because they couldn't trust each other. That's the kind of character they had. They couldn't trust their own kind, their own people. Of course, when you look at what we're going through today, we're trusting our own people, our own kind, and that's a problem, isn't it? It is really a problem. I think that we need to reclaim this land. I'll spend more time in here and get back with you on this. I apologize. Thanks for staying with me this long, folks. Appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this message today. The United States of America is in the Bible. We are the descendants of the Israelites. We are now being mixed with the other populations of the world, with the other peoples of the world, specifically to adulterate us, to water us down. It is in violation of the commandment, not committing adultery. Hope I covered that. I can't remember if I covered that or not on this, but anyway, we covered a lot of territory. May Yahweh bless you. This goes up under Awakening Israel. Israel is, the founders of the country were Israelitish people. Okay? And the Israelites are around the world. South Africa is Israelite. Chile, mostly Israelite. Argentina, large population of Israelites. Canada, Israelite. Mexico, not Israelite. United States was Israelite. But we screwed things up. And if you want to have an Israelite nation, then shut these borders down. Go vote. Take these Democrats out of office. The Republicans might not do anything. They're pretty bad too. I know that. But we have to at least send these Democrats packing once and for all. And see this power changeover. And if the Republicans betray us, then we need to take further action. And at this point, I think the most important thing we can do is pray. I'm going to cover another little study here as to what it was, the ultimate sin that resulted in the deportation of the Israelites, in the captivity. Why? Because we're doing it today in the United States of America. The enemy's got us on track for the same sort of destruction. The same sins, the same problem. Actually, we've already been deported in place. What they've done instead is superimposed a different jurisdiction, an admiralty jurisdiction, maritime law. They've superimposed that upon us. They've taken away our natural citizenship as landed citizens and made us non-citizens. They've deprived us of our true birthright. They've done that through their banking system. This stuff came out of Babylon, and I think it came out of Egypt. So a lot of the evil was added in Babylon, but a lot of it came out of Egypt. It wasn't a good thing that happened over there. And we have the symbol octagon for those people, which happens to come out of Switzerland for some reason, which happens to contain a population with a different skull type. Now that's a definite differentiator of races, at the least. I think we call them different species. Do yourself a favor. Get the Bible, sit with the Bible. If you have a thought, put it down in the comments. Let your brothers and sisters know. If you've got a correction, please tell us. Yahweh bless America.